Hey guys, welcome to Night Owls, and it is Friday, September 27th, and Sasha is here a little bit early, so that's good. And I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. We did see the movie Substance. I thought we'd go over that a little bit and see what else is happening in the news. I guess that Israel is fighting Lebanon again. That's what they always do with our tax dollars, and who knows what's going to happen there. But and then the hurricanes hitting. I heard that was kind of a nothing burger. The media always likes to hype things out of proportion. So, how you doing, Sasha?
I'm doing good. Um, yeah. So I guess there's quite a bit to talk about, really. It just depends on what you want to talk about.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, in the audience, they can go ahead and submit questions on. We're on both YouTube, the Superchats, Rumble has rants, and below here we have Power Chats and Stream Elements has a feature. So I appreciate that all. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about my game development, what I learned about that. And I got to be careful not to touch my cord, otherwise my camera goes out. We already got a couple of questions before we start the show, so I'll go over those. Kim Anthony, he's our Finnish friend. $5. Hi, guys. The eternal quagmire is a question of IQ. When I applied for an office job, they had me at 121, which makes me a midwit. Well, I disagree with that. I think 100 IQ is average, so 121 means you're a sharp guy. Sitting in the office was not my thing. How about your patrons in general? Let's hear it, guys. I've never had an IQ test. I don't know what I am, but 121, that's a good IQ because I think the average is 100 for white people. I think blacks are like 85. Kamala's about that. Haitians are really, they're like 67, I heard. So, yeah, but I don't really know. How about you, Sasha?
Yeah, I've never taken one either. I don't really want to take one because if I score really low on it, then I would feel bad. So I don't really care. I've made it this long with through my life without having to take one. So yeah, 120 I would think is pretty good because isn't Genius like 140 or 160? I don't know.
Yeah, 140 is considered pretty exceptional. So 121 is definitely above average. So, well, good for you. So you shouldn't feel bad for that. A midwit would be around 100 IQ. Uh, but yeah, that's good to know. And also, IQ is a determinant, but I think that there's a lot more in life than IQ. And I've always said I'm not an IQ nationalist. And even if people are smart, I don't necessarily want them here because there's other aspects to your personality that may not be compatible. I like Japanese, but I don't want my country overrun with Japanese. And I kind of admire their culture, and they tend to be smart people. And Jewish people tend to be smart, but we see some issues there. So yeah, I think it's more than just smarts and even being successful. There's a lot of not that high IQ people that are very successful because they can take advantage of opportunities or they have a specific skill set or they get lucky. I mean, not all actors that are famous or have a high IQ, but they were in the right place at the right time. And there's some people that have a high IQ that are very screwed up and how they live their lives. So, while IQ is important, I don't really focus on it that much, especially when I'm talking about immigration. If we do have immigration into America, I think it should be mostly European because they're genetically more similar to us. They share the same spirit, a view of life. And even then, I would be very hesitant because it depends on what nationality. But I don't really base it on IQ per se. I guess Chinese have a pretty decent IQ, at least some of them do. But again, I don't want to be overrun with the Chinese. So I'm, I think there's a lot of other things than IQ. I've never been the IQ nationalist or post IQ rafts or, I mean, don't get me wrong, IQ is important, especially the average IQ of the population, what kind of civilization you can maintain. Like if you're in Haiti, they just don't have the human capital to maintain a successful civilization. They can be brought over here, but they're just going to pull us down. So IQ does make a difference, but it's not the only criteria. So I don't get hung up about it. Your thoughts, Sasha?
No, I agree with you. Just because people are really smart doesn't mean they should be coming over here. Because a lot of Asians are smart too, but I don't necessarily think that they share what like Heritage Americans shared, like where we're more into like freedom and they seem to be more collective minded. I don't know, it seems that way. Like you always talk about, oh, women are voting Democrat. Hey, guess what? Like Asians are going to vote like way Democrat. So, and I like a lot of Asian culture and I like them. I mean, other than like white people, that'd be my second favorite group of people, like Japanese or even some Chinese culture. I don't like all of it. I don't like the way they treat their animals, but it's better than like African culture. But yeah, I don't think IQ, it's important for sure, but I don't know. I don't think we need to let anybody else in America anyway. We're full. It gets kind of discouraging too because I heard this lady Carrie Lake talking about because what is she, senator in Arizona or something in Arizona, but she was talking about how they've had all this immigration, like all this crime and all this stuff, and oh, when Trump gets in, we're going to try to fix that, and then we're just going to let people in legally, and we'll have a wide open door for that, a big door, to let people in legally. It's like, how many people do we need? They said that we let between a million and 2 million in legally every year. That's a lot of freaking people. When you think how big is New York City, it used to be 8 million. I don't know what it is now. So you're letting a New York City in like every few years when you do this shit. Like, when does it ever stop?
It stops when they replace us and destroy our homeland. That's the goal. They're based on envy. They don't want any white homelands. They made that clear. Even before Hitler, they made that clear. And they're implementing it. It's an act of war, an act of terrorism, and they should be treated as terrorists, the people that facilitate this. And one day they need to be, the ex Nazis were hunted down. These people need to be hunted down and brought to justice. It's outrageous. There's nothing more serious than this. It's a tragedy I'm seeing in my older age, what happened to America. Very, very sad. And, I saw a picture of Kamala and her mother. Uh, it's something that you see them squatting in Calcutta or something. And bless them, they could be there. I don't want this country to look like Calcutta where people are squatting on the street. And and they're both ugly. And yeah, it is sad what is happening there. So it's horrible. I did get we'll go through some of this. Thank you for all these chats, by the way, and then we're going to discuss some movies. Tony, I got bitten by chiggers this week. Has this ever happened to Ramsey or Sacha? Yes, the first time I moved to Fayetteville. In fact, if you guys know where Lake Fayetteville is, if you're in this area, it's north of Fayetteville, and I walked around the lake. It's a 5 mile walk. But I went through this like shortcut through the brush and I got a lot of chiggers and I get some still. And if you don't know what they are, they're like little mites that are real itchy. They get on your feet. And so anymore, where I live, when I work in the yard, I always wear boots now to protect my feet. I don't know, Sasha, have you ever got chiggers?
Oh yes, that's one thing I always hated about Arkansas were the bugs. I know like every place has bugs, but when I was a kid in Illinois, I never, maybe it's because I lived in the city, but I never got ticks or anything or chiggers. And you come down here and just eating alive with them. My friend takes care of the cemetery, and me and him and my cousin were out there, and we'd had lunch, and we were just kind of sitting on one of those stones, and we sat there for a couple hours and visited and ate. And then later, I had my legs and ankles just itched, and you just scratch them till they bleed. And I don't know. That's why I'm more of an indoor person. I like to see pictures of the outdoors, but I don't like to get eaten alive with bugs. At least in summer, they're bad. But yeah, sorry about your experience. We've all been there.
Yeah, and I have to laugh because when I see these e-thoughts, that was the old meme of them out in the woods or something, barefooted and half naked, laying on the grass. I'm like, well, good luck. They're going to be scratching their ass, literally, because you'll have chiggers and ticks up your butt. And ticks are common too. And I used to didn't have a lot of ticks before I moved here, and they used to gross me out. I still don't like them, but now it's like, oh, okay, I got a tick on me, and I pull it out. It's no big deal. It's more common. And again, I try to avoid it. Ticks I hate worse than chiggers just because they're grosser. And chiggers, I found out if I wear my boots, I can usually avoid them. But sometimes I get lazy or something happens. I run outside and check on something just in my tennis shoes, and then I regret it. Just the other day that happened to me. So, yeah, it's you learn the realities when you live in the country of nature is beautiful, but there is a lot of nasty stuff with it.
Uh oh, we lost your picture. We lost you, Paul.
I know. Come back in.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of disagree. Ticks are gross, but I think chiggers are worse just because they itch for so long. I mean, and I guess ticks can itch too. But yeah, the country living, it's not always that fun. I remember when I was a kid, my aunt would always tell me when we come to Arkansas to visit relatives, she'd always be like, shake your pants out in case there's, bugs get in them or wasps or bees. And then after you live there for a while and you don't get stung or nothing happens, you stop doing that. And then I put my pants on and felt these stings, and I got stung like 3 different times, and it was very painful. And yeah, it's not fun. And my friend Mosca was helping my dad roof, and there was like a wasp nest, and he said he got stung like 30 times, like up on the roof. And so every time he would go over there, he had like a can of Raid with him. But yeah, it's definitely like a problem in the country if I don't know. And then you can spray all these chemicals, but then it's like, yeah, it's not really good, probably good to do that. But I don't know. I'd rather have the chemicals kill all the bugs than have to deal with scratching and getting stung and bitten. And there we go. He's back.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had this. I should probably just break down and get a new camera. This is real. I think it has like a little short in it, the wire, and if I touch it, it goes out. So, but I get cheap, and I figure, well, if as long as I don't touch it, it's okay. But here's kind of crowded, and I touched it, so I apologize for that. But yeah, wasp I hate. I had one in my car the other day, and it freaked me out. It's like, there's a wasp in here. I hate wasp, and what else do I hate about bugs? Spiders I'm okay with if they stay outside. They're kind of fun to watch. They have their spider webs, and I saw a spider eating a wasp. That was really cool in his web. So I was like, go, go, kill that damn wasp. So yeah, but you don't roll around in the definitely you don't roll around in the grass with bare feet or something like that. I don't know. We got another one. Robert, $3. Besides super high technical jobs, they say in business, getting along with people is the most important to get ahead. If people like you and vouch for your character, you will go far. If only dissident right people understood character. And I will comment on this. I think, yeah, getting ahead in life and whatever endeavor you are in, let's say business. From my experience, I was in the business world for 35 years. I think it's a combination of you got to have some talent in whatever your field is. That does play a role. And what I'm saying, I think, can apply to like any field, like being a musician or an actor or a painter or a doctor or whatever. You got to have some talent. You got to have some drive. You got to be able to work well with people. It helps if you got some connections. There's a lot of nepotism in fields, and that's how a lot of people get in the door. And then people don't like to hear this, but there's a lot of luck. And like if you took Bill Gates now, let's say took him from where he became rich, but now you just dropped him, you started all over now, he probably wouldn't become a billionaire because it's a different world. He wouldn't have the same opportunities, the right place at the right time. A lot of people, they just make their money or they get their break because they're a right place at the right time. And some people could be super talented, but they never get the break. I was watching a show about The Exorcist, the guy that wrote the book. I think his name was Blatty, and Sacha can chime in here if I got that wrong. But when he wrote the book, it was like no one was buying it. It was like nothing. It was a total failure. And then at the last minute on Dick Cavett, they were going to interview someone and the guy was drunk and he couldn't do the interview. So at the last minute, they called, "Hey, could you come in and talk about this book you wrote? We need someone to fill in quickly." And he did, and everyone got so fascinated with the book, it became a bestseller, then it became the movie. And so that's an example of being at the right place at the right time. And if that one guy wasn't drunk beforehand to go on the Dick Cavett show, it may have never happened. Who was that guy's name, Sasha?
It was the guy from Jaws. Like, I can't remember what his name was in Jaws. He's the one that took them out on his boat to try to get Jaws, that guy. He was the one that was too drunk to go on the show.
Yeah, and thank you, and I forget his name too, but that's just an example, and there's so many examples. Like Bill Gates just happened to be at the start of the PC revolution, and IBM. They just happened to bring him in because someone canceled. Otherwise, they would have gone a different direction. So there is a lot of luck, or if you want to say fate, or God, or whatever you want to say. There's a lot of that happens. And even in sports, I've seen this where you'd have like Tom Brady, if you know football, in Michigan, he was like a backup quarterback. In college, he wasn't that famous. The Patriots drafted him like the sixth round, which is way low. And he was a backup quarterback to Drew Bledsoe. And if Drew Bledsoe never got hurt, you probably never would have heard of Tom Brady. But he got hurt. Tom Brady took the opportunity, and the rest is history. He's considered one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play the game. But the point is, he had to have the luck of the guy ahead of him being hurt. And I'm sure there's many cases of people, brilliant bands, wonderful novels, super athletes, or whatever you have it, or potentially a great businessman or great technical mind that you never heard of because they never got the break. They never got the opportunity. That happens a lot, but you just don't hear of it. That's why I always cringe a little bit when, oh, you can be anything you set your mind to. It's like, yeah, that's not a good message to give kids. And I get it, but a lot of times they interview like an actress, let's say from years ago, and it's like, oh, I just started out in a little small town in Arkansas. I didn't know anyone, and I just packed up with like nothing to my name except for $2, got on the Greyhound bus, went to Hollywood. I work hard, and I broke in the field. Now look at, I have a mansion in Beverly Hills. You know, that was a story in the 60s or 70s. And I'm like, yeah, that can happen. And then the lady says, you always got to believe in yourself and never doubt in yourself, and good things will happen. Like, well, yeah, it happened with you, but how about like at 10,000 other girls that did the exact same scenario? It totally washed out. So I think that's a mistake to believe that can happen to everyone. Or am I being too cynical about that, Sasha?
No, I think you're just setting a lot of people up for a lot of disappointment in their life. It's just like you can't, there's people that have limitations, and you shouldn't you shouldn't be stuck with your limitations. You should try to improve yourself. And I think people get older and they stop reading and they stop learning. Not everybody. I think a lot of people watch your show don't, or they, because they understand like how things are going. But that doesn't always mean you can be like when you're a kid, like, oh yeah, you can be a football player if you're like some tiny little person, or if you're like a big person, you're going to be a ballet dancer. I mean, there's just things you're not going to be able to do, or like, well, like Kamala Harris, she was a lawyer, I guess, and I heard she failed the bar multiple times and she's not very smart. Like, maybe she shouldn't be a lawyer, but that's what happens when you, like, I don't know. Now it seems like they pass everybody along, and we just have all these people in positions they're not qualified, they're too stupid to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was interesting that you brought this up because I have my game I'm working on. I'm still play testing it. In fact, I did some printing today, and I'm going to do some printing maybe tomorrow. We will see here. But really, doing this board game I'm going to be doing is just an act of love. You don't really make a lot of money at it unless you're very rare individuals do. There's some of the big popular games like Cards of Humanity and some of the big ones, Settlers of whatever, Catan, they make it, but those are really, really the exception. And it's sort of like a lot of the fields, like how much money do you make as a musician or as an actor or as a writer? Well, if you're J.K. Rowling, you can become a billionaire being a writer, but the average person that writes doesn't make anything hardly on it. Same with like a musician. If you have like your band you started in your garage as a rock band, even say years ago, could you become super famous, make millions of dollars? Yeah, sure, but that's not likely. Most people never do. And maybe you'll end up playing for some weddings. And so a lot of these fields, it's just people see the top people or athletes are big time, you know. So if you're in the Major League Baseball, you make millions of dollars. But if you're just in the minor leagues, you're riding the bus, you hardly make any money staying at the Holiday Inn. So there's a big, especially in those fields, the creative fields, there's a big discrepancy between the top people like movie actors like Tom Cruise, just as someone that does bit parts, really struggling for work. And that's just the way it is in the creative field. And I think people have to realize that. I even heard those whores on like OnlyFans. You hear about Bella or whatever makes, I don't know, 20 million a month or something stupid. But most of the prostitutes on there, I think the average one just makes $158 a month. So it's one of those things that you hear about the top people that make a lot of money on it. But for most people, it's very little money. And I think it's even that way, I think, on the internet for the most part. A lot of people, they get real famous like Tim Pool, make tons of money. But then most people make very little money. There's some people that do kind of in the middle. Maybe I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of rare that way. But it's usually you either make a lot of money or next to nothing on in this type of field, the creative field.
Yeah, that's true. I saw a picture of some woman that was supposed to be the top the top money maker on OnlyFans. She was gross. She was like covered in tattoos, and everything about her was plastic and fake, and it was just kind of sad that people give their money to shit like that. But yeah, so did you want to talk about the movie?
I did, and we'll get to it, Sasha, but let's get through this chats first because I want to take care of them and their money.
Okay, I thought we were done with it.
No, no, no. So the more we get the money, the more I'll stay on this. So this is good. So we're just talking about money. And so, yeah, yeah, a lot of people like Lord Chen, you get $10 million from the Russians, but most people don't do that, right? That's really rare. And I'm not really, sometimes when you get all that money, it can be a risk though, because then you get more on the radar and stuff. So it's kind of a catch 22 there. Okay, let me see what else is, okay, we did that. And I do have some super chats I want to go over. And we got one here. Oh yeah, Dylan, $33. Thank you, Dylan. Sing a favorite song. Music is magic. Sasha, just do it. Also, IQ intelligence is motivated like carrot and a stick. White man intelligence is like music. You just feel it.
Yeah, I still have to sing another song for you and a song for Kim Anthony. The only thing, the song Kim Anthony wants me to sing, I don't think I'm going to be able to sing it. I don't know the song at all. I don't know. I'd have to maybe sing something else. Because I don't know. It's hard if you don't know the song. I should do that on Sunday. Maybe I should just have you show me how to do that on the computer and I can sing it with music and everything. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We'll get you to sing your songs there.
I have it written down. It's just been, I don't know, crazy. And then I kind of forget about it because I get into doing other things. And then the weekend's over and I'm like, oh shit. But I could do it here at the apartment. Just, that would probably be better in some ways anyway, because then I could just be by myself to do it. But you have to show me how to set it up so I can do the music, like the karaoke.
Yeah, thank you for the generous donation there. That's $33. That was pretty nice by Dylan. So, music is magic, and I know Sasha's a big music fan. She's always has played music and singing, so that's really cool. I think it runs in her family. Her family's very musical. I kind of lack the musical ability.
Not you. You played the trombone, right?
I did play the trombone, but I didn't have much natural talent. It's something I had to work at. So some people are just blessed with natural talent. Bill Sanders, is there anything Trump could do between now and election day to guarantee a win? Boy, it's hard for me to get a read on who's going to win this election. Every day the polls say something different. It looks really close. My gut feel is Trump's doing better than they say he is, and I think he could win by a good margin, but I could be totally off on that. I don't know, and they could cheat, and there's so many things that could happen. But to guarantee a win, I don't think there's anything he could really do. There's no magic thing he could say. I think most people either are decided. They either like Trump and they're going to vote for him, or hate Kamala, or they hate Trump and they're going to vote for Kamala. So I don't think there's some magic thing any of them could do that would really change that equation. What do you think, Sasha?
I think he's gonna win. I really do, because like even like people I know like from work that are kind of normies, they don't follow politics. They don't like Kamala. She keeps saying stupid shit. She won't answer the questions, and I think people are getting kind of desperate because the economy is bad, and so people are like, okay, well pre-COVID we were doing pretty good under Trump. And then we've had Joe Biden for the last 4 years, and she was his VP, and things were awful. And anytime they ask her a question like, well, how are you going to fix this? She goes into this, well, I was a middle class kid. And it's very important, and she goes into all this word salad, and people are like, you're not giving answers. And we need at least the economy to get better. And the war, like we were talking about that, or Paul did his roundtable tonight, and it was about that. Like, do you think that there's going to be like a World War III? And I think at least with Trump, he could maybe go in there and like negotiate, like, hey, we're stopping this shit. Because I mean, he didn't get us into new wars. Um, I'm sure he's going to give Israel everything they want, but he might be able to stop the Ukraine Russia thing, and that'll be good. And she's not promising to do any of this stuff, and then she steals Trump's ideas. And even when the media that are in her back pocket can't even make her look good, it's not looking good. And that's why I think Trump is going to win, because I think a lot of people are like, yeah, we were doing better, and they're kind of tired of hearing about like, oh, he's a dictator and he's mustache man, because we already lived through it and we know none of that shit was true. And I saw somebody even went and they were asking people about January 6th. I think it was some shitlib like an MSNBC reporter or something, or CNN, and they were even asking people like, what did you think of January 6th? And a lot of people were just like, they didn't care. And these weren't Republicans or right wing people. These were like independent voters. And I think right now people care about like, hey, the economy, and hey, holy shit, look what's going on with all these Haitians and everything. And at least Trump's saying he'll deport them. And honestly, I don't really think he will. I wish he would, but I don't know if that's going to happen, because I keep hearing people say, oh, they don't have the stomach to, well, Americans have the stomach to deport these people. At the minute they try to take a baby away from its mom, I don't give a shit. They need to go home. I guess I'm one of these people that can stomach it. The more they can send away, the better. I think everything's too damn crowded and expensive now. And like Paul always says, we want our homeland. But at least he kind of promises that, even if he's not going to do it. So that's why I think she's not going to win. Because, yeah, there's a lot of stupid people, but there's also a lot of people that see the, that can kind of see through this. Because I've even seen, and I know he's not going to win blacks, but I've seen a lot more blacks say they're going to vote for him now too. So people don't like her. Um, which is scary that it's so close. But you remember back in 2016, they all said Hillary was going to win by like 97%, and how wrong they were.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of our white population is decreasing, and there's a lot of stupid people. So that, yeah, we just got to be careful about confirmation bias. We tend to be around people that are similar to us, and there is a lot of stupid people out there. So I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I don't really know. I don't really got a good feel of it. I think he's going to win. But I just can't say. Rowhouse, at this point, Elon Musk tweets as based as Ramsey Paul. No way 8 years ago we could picture the world's richest man doing that. And he's talking about this tweet here. And I talked about this quite a bit. I just even brought this up tonight. I guess as a white pill and Elon's talking about how 4% of the entire population of Haiti has been dumped in America. That's horrible. And it just talks about the illegal aliens. And even if, I don't care if at this point, if they're legal or illegal, But yeah, there used to be stuff that I was talking about, but the mainstream, like GOP type commentators, would think that I was too extreme and they would disavow and blah, blah, blah. And now all these people are sounding like Ramsey Paul for the most part. It's really amazing. And so I'm kind of optimistic that a lot of our ideas are influencing people. And that gives me a little bit of hope. Now, my next thing I'm trying to push on these people, even if I don't get credit for it, is we got to get over worried about illegal versus legal. I don't really care one way or the other if they're here legally or illegally. They do not belong here. And we're under no obligation to perpetuate foolishness. And I don't care. Oh, well, they're here. You can't get them out. And like, yeah, we sure can. And that's where we got to get to. Still, the Republicans, even, like the JD Vances, Vivek, and all that, they will still make that distinction. Oh, we got to get the illegals out. But I hopefully make some inroads in that area.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing with Trump and the GOP, like normie types. They always, oh, the country was built on immigration. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was people like our ancestors. We got it started, and then later more people came, and then it got bigger and bigger. And those people already came. Like we were the ones that had to dig the wells, or our ancestors were the ones that had to do all the stuff, the infrastructure of the country. And then most of these people came when it was already built. And then they want to act like, oh, it's a big melting pot. Well, no, it wasn't. And then we had it like, oh, Europeans could come here to what, 1965? And then we changed it, and it's been a disaster. And then we have to keep bringing everybody in here. And it's like, why? And the automation thing, too, you always see they're like, oh, there's all these places closing. It seems like I'm constantly getting notifications on my phone like, oh, more stores closing. Okay, we don't really build a whole lot anymore, and a lot of the stores are going out. I guess everybody does everything online now, which fine, whatever. But we don't have the kinds of jobs that we used to have. It seems like everybody's working multiple jobs and everything's so expensive. And if they start automating things, where the hell are these people going to go? We're not bringing like brain surgeons in here. You're bringing people that are stealing people's cats. I mean, we're bringing savages in. How is that going to go? I mean, did we not learn anything from history? What did they do to the French? What do they do to all these other people? A lot of these people are fucking violent, and they don't need to be over here. And we need to just stop immigration. Like you said, maybe you could talk about like, okay, if you've been here the last like 15 years or whatever, we need to look at you and see if you need to go back. Not this, oh, we're going to give amnesty because, Kamala said something about amnesty too. That's like another thing. I think people heard that. She added it in on one of the little, I guess it was that interview she did the other night, where she was doing her word salad, and at the end of the word salad, she said something about, and we need to give these people a path to citizenship. Most people are tired of this. They're like us. There's a few that are brainwashed, but even a lot of these people now are starting to come around and be like, yeah, maybe we don't want all these fucking people here.
I'll go further. I don't think Kamala Harris belongs here. I don't think she's really a real American. Her ancestors weren't part of this country. She comes from her father's side, Jamaica, Marxist. Her mother was from like India. They just have nothing in common with America. That's why she has no tie to this land, and she doesn't care about the Constitution. That's alien to her people. Her father's side didn't care about the principles of liberty. Mother's side didn't. So we have a lot of problems of people that really shouldn't be here. They're not really compatible with our home. And that's why she doesn't really care, because I mean, she has no allegiance to this land, to the people, to this is just a geographic area for her. So hopefully, more people become aware of that. But I am white pilled. It's got a little bit better. And so yeah, keep sending your chats in, and I'll get to them. But we will just go over now a little bit of the movie we saw. We saw last week, The Substance, and I will throw this over to Sasha to kind of describe the movie in a nutshell.
Gee, thanks. It's kind of a hard movie to describe. I was trying to tell a lady at work about it, and she looked at me kind of odd, because I only had a few minutes. So, okay, let me start. Okay, Demi Moore's in it, and she plays an older lady, and she's like this aerobics. She has like an aerobics show, and it starts out and it kind of shows like early, like it shows her star, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and how like all the times have passed, and then it shows her and she's older. She basically gets fired because she's too old, and so she's in a car accident because she sees her billboard being ripped down because the woman's pretty vain, but she feels sorry for her too. And she's in a car accident. She goes and they're like, "Oh, luckily you're okay," because you think the car accident's pretty intense. You think like, "Oh, that probably messed her up," but this guy working there gives a card like, "Oh, you." Well, he feels her back first, and he says, "You would be good for this thing, the substance," and he gives her this card. And at first, she throws it in the trash. She goes home, throws it away. And then later, I don't know what it is she sees. I don't remember. She sees something like an image of herself or something. And she goes and gets the garbage and digs the card out and she calls and she has to go pick it up. And it's basically this thing, and it makes you the best self that you can be. Like if you can improve yourself. Well, what happens is you take this stuff and it makes it kind of clones you, and your other person comes through your back. And so this younger girl is in her back, and Demi Moore's character is like laid out, and so the girl sews her up, and it's like this pretty younger woman, and she basically gets her job as an aerobics instructor. And they're split, but while one of them is up doing stuff, the younger girl's up doing stuff. Demi Moore, her body is like almost like in a coma for a week, and they switch back and forth. The bodies do for a week, and she has to have like food. They give you this like food that sustains you, and yeah, under no circumstances are you supposed to stay in that, take the substance when your week is up. So the younger girl, the younger version of herself, starts taking it like, oh, I got to do Vogue this week. Oh, this is going on. Oh, this is going on. And then when Demi Moore finally goes back to where she's awake, her body's like messed up because you're basically stealing time from your. It's kind of bizarre. Like she's stealing from the other body, but you're
Yeah.
one. Like it's bizarre, but it was such a good movie.
Yeah, and I don't want to that's saying how much we can do without spoiling it, without going through every scene, but the basic idea of the movie is, if your younger self and then she has her older self and they kind of end up like the conflict between there. And I was worried that it was going to be like a big feminist movie about, oh, how they judge older women or something like that. And it did have that theme a little bit, but it wasn't too heavy-handed. A lot of people didn't like the movie. People either loved it or hated it. And because at the end of the movie, it is a horror movie, so it's not meant to be a serious movie with Meryl Streep talking about some issue where they're all crying, and it's not like that. It is like a weird ending, and it's fun. I enjoyed it, but if you're going in thinking it's sort of a serious drama, it's not. And I think that threw a lot of people off because it kind of started that way, but it gets kind of weird. Again, I always look for the wokeness in movies, and there wasn't much. I mean, the two main characters, Demi Moore was white, and that other girl was real pretty that played her younger herself. What was her name? Margaret something?
I think it's like Margaret Quigley or Quayle, or I don't know. I don't really know who she is. I don't know a lot of young actors.
So it was that part was interesting. I give it a thumbs up. I enjoy the movie. Uh, so that's how I kind of rate movies. I wouldn't rate it as a classic, but I did enjoy it, and I didn't get bored or anything like that. And there was no real push of homosexuality in the movie, and there wasn't, they're trying to black it up with something. There were, I'm sure, some black characters, but it wasn't like major characters. And I was worried about it trying to be a feminist message, but I didn't really get that so much. Maybe a little, but it didn't really, it wasn't heavy handed.
Yeah, there was like one black in it, and it was like somebody that was just like a side character. Most of the characters, really, it was Demi Moore, the girl, her younger version of herself, and Dennis Quaid. There weren't like a lot of characters in it. It was more like about like Demi Moore and that girl and her kind of like losing her mind. But I thought it was really good. I was kind of worried because at first I saw the trailer, I thought this looks awesome. and Brandon wanted to see it. And we are going to go, and we convinced Paul to go because he didn't want to see it, and we all liked it. And but I was worried because I saw the reviews, and the critics loved it, but the audience didn't really like it. And that doesn't mean anything because I've seen movies where the audience I thought was wrong, and a lot of times the critics are wrong too. But it either got, like Paul said, 1 star or 5 stars, and it seems like the people that gave it 1 star didn't really understand it. And I saw a lot of people were complaining because there was nudity in it. Nudity or too violent. Yeah, it's a horror movie. I think that they went into it expecting something that it wasn't, and it wasn't like the average horror movie. But I would 5 stars. Like I wrote down all the movies I've seen this year because I don't get ticket stubs anymore, because I usually buy them online. And it's like that. I look through it of movies that were new because I've seen a lot of like retro movies this year too. But that's probably my favorite movie I've seen this year because it's one of those movies after you see it, you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, I was trying to think back. I think the favorite movie I saw this year was Reagan. I really did enjoy that. I also enjoyed Am I Racist? But I mean, this was up there. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the new Beetlejuice movie, and there was. I was telling Sasha. I think there's always a delay, a lag sometimes in cultural trends. Hollywood or the movies or whatever. And I think we're starting to see a little bit. I could be totally wrong, and Trump. I hope I'm right. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic, but I think a lot of these companies are realizing that they just can't do movies about with black lesbian characters or shit like that and expect to make money. I know Marvel did that movie with three bitches in it or something. It just totally destroyed. I mean, they had a white girl, a black girl, and some girl of mystery race, and it just bombed. I think it was called the Marvels or something. What was it, Sasha?
The Marvels, I think. Yeah, everybody says like there's no good movies anymore, but I feel like I've seen a lot of good movies this year, and I agree with you. I think they're trying to get away from a lot of this woke shit because I went through, like I said, and because I'm a Stubbs member, I can look at the history of movies because we always go to AMC usually. And so some of the movies that we saw this year that I thought were really good that weren't like just woke trash or were actually good was that movie Late Night with the Devil. That was really good. Abigail was good. That was kind of a fun movie about this ballerina vampire, and it was fun. The Planet of the Apes movie was really good, and I remember we saw that around my birthday, and Paul was like he thought it was going to be crap, and we both really liked it. And then what else did I see that was new? A lot of these are old. Twisters was good, but it wasn't like this. It was just kind of a fun popcorn movie. Reagan, that was up there too. That's probably my second movie I saw this year. I didn't think Beetlejuice was that great. Paul liked it. It was not as good as the original. It had problems for sure. Like, why did Beetlejuice have a wife? That didn't really add anything to the story. I don't know. There was just things I didn't like about it, and it was kind of forgettable. But I mean, it was entertaining, I guess. Strange Darlings was good too, and that wasn't like woke. That was good. That was another like scary movie. And yeah, other than those, most of the stuff I saw this year were old. That Civil War movie I thought was garbage. Um, and Lisa Frankenstein was good too. That was cute because it's kind of a homage to like 80s movies, girl movies.
Yeah, I was just going to look up that Beetlejuice had Winona Ryder, right, in it. And I thought Sacha and I were talking. She was pretty cute as a teenager, but something, her real life, she got arrested for shoplifting. She's had a lot of issues. And, a lot of actresses, they still like Demi Moore. I thought she still had the acting chops, but Winona Ryder, I didn't. She didn't really light up the screen. She just seemed lethargic or something. And she doesn't seem to have that star quality anymore. What do you think, Sasha?
No, I agree. I've kind of thought that about her for a while. I've kind of thought that about her for a while. She was in one of the Star Trek movies, the first one that came out after they hadn't been out in a long time. It was like 2010, and I didn't really care for the movie. I went because I had nerd friends that wanted to see it. But she was in that as like Spock's mom or somebody's mom, and she had a little part. It was kind of like, oh, cool, Winona Ryder, because I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, and we all loved her then. But Paul's right; she just didn't really have it going for her anymore. And even like Beetlejuice, it's so hard to play like a 50-something-year-old goth woman. Like it was just, I don't know. It worked when she was young, and I don't know what happened after the shoplifting thing. It just her career pretty much dried up, and then she came back later, and whatever happened, she just wasn't like she was when she was in Heathers. And like Paul said, Demi Moore was still awesome. Like, and she's somebody, honestly, growing up, I never really cared for her that much. Like, I like some of her movies, like Ghost. I've actually kind of liked her more as I've gotten older, but she's a good actress and she's fun to watch. And I didn't really, even the other girl that was in that was kind of fun to watch. But I don't know, like watching Beetlejuice, I like Catherine O'Hara more than Winona Ryder in that, really.
And I know we're going to get it. It's kind of with the theme of substance, talking about aging, especially with women. So it's a touchy subject, but some age better. And there's some ethnicities that age better than others. And I always thought, some of the young Jewish women can be really cute when they're young, but in general, they don't age well.
Yeah, you have to give me some more examples. Jennifer Connelly, I think, still looks pretty good, and she's part Jewish, so I don't know, um, but yeah, there's some good movies. We'll probably go to a movie tomorrow too, and then I'm going to go see Howl's Moving Castle this weekend. I've never seen that, and I've really been enjoying going to see all the Miyazaki movies this year. I think there's only 3 more to go after, maybe 4 more, but there's one I won't be able to see. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were lagging. I'm just hearing a little bit of lag on the stream, but I don't know if it's just me or.
I think we were lagging because it looked like it was loading.
So, yeah, we're sharing the same internet, but usually it's pretty quicker. I don't know. So, but yeah, again, another Jewish actress I thought was very beautiful when she was young, Natalie Portman, I think it was. I'm not sure how she looks now, but she was pretty hot back in the day.
Yeah, I always forget about her, but yeah, she used to be pretty. She's not the best actress. I always thought she was kind of wooden in the Star Wars movies. All she did was kind of brush her hair, like through the whole all those movies. Did you see those? The prequels to Star Wars that were pretty bad, but they're not as bad as the shit they're like peddling out now. You know, things have gotten bad in the Star Wars world when people are nostalgic for the shit ones that came out, the prequels that everybody hated that came out like in the early 2000s. Those were a lot better than whatever they're churning out now.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, someone said it sounds like you two are underwater. We got a couple of spikes, and it sounds good now, but I heard it too for a bit there. Sasha was just kind of there was a delay, and it was echoing not echo because of the mic, but because of the connection. And I don't know, it's part of the internet here. It's usually pretty good here, so that's the thing. And let's see. I don't know. Do you? I will throw it over to Sasha of some other topics you want to talk about. I was looking at game development. That's I haven't even talked to Sasha about that, but I'm gonna have to rethink how I want to market the game and stuff. It's can be kind of expensive up front, that's for sure.
I told you, why don't you just do a Kickstart?
Yeah, there's some issues with that too, but yeah, I'm still looking at it, so I'll figure out something to do with that.
Oh, because I always thought a Kickstart was just you had to have so many people buy it, and then they got like a copy of the game, and they had different tiers. So if you donated more, then you get like extra perks and stuff. But I don't know.
Well, if you're going to do a game with like a professional manufacturer, they expect you to have an order initially of like 1,500 to 2,000 games, and you got to kind of pay up front. And typically, your cost will be at least $10, so that'd be like $20,000 I'd have to put up front, and I could raise some of that money, but I was just surprised. It's not like you can just say, oh, you just print, whenever I sell a game, you print a copy at the factory in China. That's not how it works. They want you to buy like a first print, and so you take all the risk, and then you got to have a fulfillment center, and they got to put it in the warehouse. And it's most games lose money. It's sort of like we get back in the whole writing or music and stuff like that. Not many people actually make money in games.
That's too bad because there's a lot of like nice games. Um, I don't know. I would still try to do the Kickstarter because you could always just tell people because I think this is too a way Kickstarter could work. Like you have to get so many to be able to fulfill it, and if you don't make the goal, then the game doesn't get made. You know what I mean? Like that way, people just kind of buy it as is, but you get enough people to back it, so you don't have all that money out of pocket.
Yeah, I might do a hybrid solution, maybe a more inexpensive solution than if I was able to get enough money to do it more professionally. But that's what I was looking at tonight when you were at work, just people on the internet and just companies that do this sort of thing. So it's, and for these, I wouldn't be published by a real publisher probably. That's always a possibility, but they don't take that many people. But even if they take it, you only get the average game developer. Like if you're published by major game manufacturing, you get 4% of the sales. That's all you get of the total. So it's like, you know, anyway. But you have to do it because you love it. Halloween Druids. Yeah, Halloween. I love Halloween. I have a T-shirt my dad had, I think, that said "Reformed Druid." It was funny. The Irishman could do amazing things. Why did the English fail at conquering them? Look, look, man. The IRA legends cannot die. Even the Scottish gave up. Also, Irish magic is deadly. Yeah, that is I thought the England did have Ireland for quite a while though, but then they turned it back over. But yeah, I would love to see Ireland, but Ireland's under the same issue that all Western countries are trying to replace the people. It's really sad.
It's amazing how people don't see what's going on. It just like blows the mind, and people are so brainwashed. It's hard to even talk to people sometimes because I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty sad. But either way, I'm gonna get the game out one way or the other, and it's gonna be fun. I'm enjoying developing it, and I'm enjoying playing it. I have a new version that Sasha hasn't even played yet, so we'll have to play that again. But that's another thing when you're doing a game, you go through a lot of iterations, make a lot of changes and stuff. So that's it. Kim sent another thing in. I never heard Sasha sing "Get Right Back Where We Started From." Was that the song you're supposed to sing, Sasha? I don't remember that.
I thought it was called something else. I wrote it down, the song I thought, but what's that song? That might be easier to sing than the one I had written down. Get Back. What's it called, Paul?
Yeah, we got mixed up in our mutes here. Get right back where we started from.
Okay. Is that
So
like a pop song?
I guess so. It's
Is that a
probably a
pop
pop
song?
song. Oh, we're all out of. Yeah, I think it is. We can look it up later. All right, and let's just see here. What else?
Yeah, I'll sing the songs on Saturday. You can just show me how to do it so my microphone will pick up both things. Just make sure I'm doing it right because I can just do it here.
Yeah, we'll see. And let's see what else we got here. I think I might have something else here. Damien Thorne. Substance was a great movie, but the beating scene of Demi Moore when she was old disturbed me for a week. Um, I didn't. There were some parts that were kind of disturbing. Did that part disturb you, or did any part really disturb you, Sasha?
Wait, which part with Demi Moore?
I think when she was old and the beating scene of Demi Moore when she was old.
Oh yeah, when she herself is. Yeah, I felt bad for her character in a way because it was sad. I thought the sad part was the part where she was going to go out to dinner with that guy and she just like was so obsessed with the way she looked she couldn't even go out, and it's almost like she didn't have any interest or anything other than the way she looked. She got so into that growing old she didn't have any hobbies or she didn't have kids. She didn't have like really anything, and it was kind of sad. Really, I was almost kind of like I always thought the movie The Fly was sad. It was gross. This movie was gross too. Like it, you could tell that they paid a little homage to the Fly in this because they're both body horror movies, kind of like Cronenberg style in a way. And I felt bad when Jeff Goldblum's character went through all that shit, and it's kind of like that with Demi Moore too. Like you put yourself through all this, and yeah, I won't. I'm gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna say anything else.
Yeah, and we got another chat said that thank you all that you do. Well, thank you very much. $5. That was Drift Speed. And then this is Dylan again. He's saying, "Oh, just sing, give a little." I think Dylan wants you to sing a little bit now, not a whole song.
Oh yeah, I don't want to sing right this minute.
Yeah, that can be a little awkward if you're not prepared, I guess. So,
Well, I need music too.
boy, I was on mute the whole time, Sasha. I'm sorry, we're in the same room, so we're having to mute on and off. Otherwise, we get an echo, and so I was messed up there. I'll read this again. This was let me see where this is. And it is basically from Dylan. Oh, yeah. Dylan said, haha, some men make their own luck. Cowboy vibes. Make your own luck. But you need a gun and knife. Knife you dream, but be the author. And this is the idea that you make your own luck, or does it just happen to you? Um, you know, there is something true that if you're prepared and you can take advantages of opportunities that come to you, and people that aren't prepared or they don't put in the work, they can't take advantages when the opportunity's there. So let me go back to that sports example of Tom Brady didn't keep in shape and wasn't prepared. Then when his break happened, so where he could shine, he would have failed. So I don't know. It's a little bit of both. What do you think, Sasha?
Wait, what was the question?
Is it luck something that you can make on your own? You make your own luck, or does it just happen?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I've been fairly lucky if it comes to winning things because I won two Hallmark gift cards about 10 years ago for $100 a piece. That was pretty cool. And then I won a drawing at Hot Topic, and I won a My Little Pony figure set, and I won a squash, and then I won our school's gong show. So winning like that, you can't control because it's just luck. But I mean, I don't know. You probably should try to have a positive attitude and go try to do things that you want to do. Maybe that could help you have good luck. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a difference between luck of like gambling versus luck of, I think you met in life or whatever, get opportunities and stuff. So that's a good question. I think I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know if anyone does, but I do know that if you're not prepared, you can't take advantage of your opportunity when it comes. I'm not sure everyone's guaranteed an opportunity, but I think it's a little bit of both. $5 super chat. Nobody knows. The Vanishing 1988 Netherlands was my all-time scary movie. The Wailing Korean was next. Hollywood movies are overrated. I will have to watch that. I'll ask Sasha when I put her on mute if when I put myself on mute if she's watched The Vanishing 1988. We need to write that down to watch it. And I'm gonna actually write this both down so I can maybe watch these movies. I'm getting into some. I saw that Korean series, the Incredible something Woo. She was an autistic lawyer, and it's pretty good. So I might be able to get into that. So have you ever heard of The Vanishing, Sasha?
Yeah, I want to say somebody else told us on the stream to watch that too because I think it's like on my list. I saw the remake. If it's the same if it's a remake of this, I saw The Vanishing in the '90s with Kiefer Sutherland, and it's been years, but I remember liking it, and I'm sure the original is probably better. Um, yeah, I mean, some Hollywood movies aren't that great, but some of them are good. Like I said, I thought The Substance was good, but Hollywood's made some good movies. They've been suffering more lately, but like I said, I think they're getting a little better because a lot of the movies we've seen recently haven't really been all that woke. It almost seems like there's certain companies anymore, like Disney, they've really kind of ruined their brand. I told Paul, I said, I think DreamWorks is kind of like what Disney could have been if they hadn't decided to be woke. That's what I think really kind of hurt Hollywood and remaking everything constantly. You don't have to remake stuff. Not everything needs a remake, and they always want to do that with everything. What is that show, The Office? I never really watched it, but they're remaking that in Australia, and it's going to have women as the main characters now.
Yeah, that will suck. I saw the both versions of The Office. The original was a British series, and I prefer the British humor more than the American series. It's a little more subtle. It was a great series. Boy, that was like over 20 years ago, though. But yeah, I'm sure the new one they're making that's going to be woke will suck. Kim said $3. Sasha knows this one. Maxine Nightingale. Do you know Maxine Nightingale?
What is it, a song or a movie?
I
Or
think so.
I don't know it.
So I guess she doesn't know it. So yeah. So that's up with that one. Maxine Nightingale. Yeah. So we will have to test out some of these movies. The Vanishing and The Wailing, the Korean one. I would like to check that out. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. We've been going to a lot of movies recently, so but I'd love to kind of review them, kind of go over them, what we think of them. But I think The Substance we both enjoyed. It's a fun movie. I don't think it's a classic, but it's a on my star system. I do 1 to 5 stars. Five like a classic, one just a horrible piece of crap. I would give it a 4 star rating in my rating.
Yeah, I would give it a 5 star. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was 2 hours and 25 minutes, and I did not feel bored ever. And like I said, the people that gave it bad reviews, the reviews were their reviews to me were kind of stupid. Like, oh, there was nudity, and Demi Moore was naked in a bathtub on the floor in a bathroom, and it's like, yeah, that was part of the plot. I don't know. It just seems like people want to nitpick shit to death, and it was a horror movie. Sorry, I don't know what the hell you thought it was, but it was fine for a horror movie. It was something different. It wasn't a remake of like the same shit over and over and over again. We're gonna go see that movie. I keep forgetting if it's called Hear No Evil or See No Evil. It's something No Evil. Okay, Hear No Evil. We're gonna go see that this weekend. No, maybe that's not the right one. This is All Blacks. Let's see. Okay, it's Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil. We're gonna go see, and that's. I think they said that's a remake of like a Norwegian or Danish movie or something, but it's getting good reviews. It's a horror movie. So, and then I heard somebody say that movie Trap wasn't any good because I don't really like M Night Shyamalan movies or Shyamalan, however the hell you say his name. Um, but that one looked kind of interesting. But that's kind of how his movies are. Sometimes they look interesting, and you go see them, and you're like, why did I get tricked into seeing this shit again? like almost every time I've seen one of his movies, and it's like, oh, you think, oh, it looks pretty good, and then you go see it, and you're really disappointed in it. So I've kind of given up on his stuff. But that was one. But then I heard that sucked too. So yeah, maybe I'll not watch that either.
One series I watched before I went to bed, and it's not a long series. It's on Netflix. If you guys get Netflix, it's about Wyatt Earp, the true story, the gunfight of the OK Corral and kind of his life. The gunfight of the OK Corral, everyone's kind of heard of that, but that was really kind of the start. Then the whole war broke out between what they call the Cowboys and Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, and it wasn't really clear who the good guys versus bad guys were. In some ways, they were both bad guys, but it was really kind of fascinating. And for most of American history during the time, Wyatt Earp was always considered a bad guy that was a murderer. He probably was. Uh, and he was really worried about his reputation. But what turned it around, he lived to be 80 years old, and he actually went to California and LA in the 20s. And because he was a famous gunfighter from, the Western times, the old man, but he did some movie consulting about the gunfight at the OK Corral. So he set it up basically that he was like the hero and the good guy. So that's why we think of him as a good lawman now. So it's kind of funny. I think he died in 1929. The gunfight at the OK Corral was like the 1880s, early 1880s. So that was a good series, though. If you guys get a chance, check out that. It's kind of a documentary, but they have actors doing the parts. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Wyatt Earp. That's who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Wyatt
Yeah.
Earp was, and I'm trying to get Sasha to see the movie Tombstone. I enjoyed that movie a lot, and Wyatt Earp was a lawman from Kansas, and he went down to Tombstone. And Tombstone, Arizona at the time was a territory; it wasn't a state yet, and there was a lot of outlaw type people there, cattle rustlers. And back then, cowboy. Now, cowboy's just someone he is a good guy, but back then, if you were a legitimate rancher, you were called a cattleman or a rancher. Cowboys were cattle rustlers; they would steal cattle and sell them, and they did some stagecoach robberies. And Wyatt Earp, he kind of got involved with that to try to bring the law down on them. But back then, they kind of took matters in law in their own hands too. But it was pretty fascinating. So I would check that in. Rams Paul, this is Dylan. Can you sing song like one line, one verse? Universe, is it so hard? One song, easy. Sasha's too shy. Just say something musically. Okay. Um, uh, I can't think of anything. All I can think of is jingles. My whole life was made up of jingles. You remember that song, Sasha? Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Remember that?
All men Jews got nuts. Mounds don't.
Mounds don't. Yeah, that was, and then Sasha and I's our song is that song, "Shot Through the Heart."
That is not our song. You always say that. I don't know why you even think that, but it's not. Hey, buddy, buddy's here. We started singing and we called the cats over.
It's a good
It's a
romantic
good
song.
romantic song. You know what that song that Trump song was stuck in my head for like a week. I was even gonna buy the song from the guy because he was selling it for like a couple bucks just because I thought it was creative. That guy on X, you guys probably saw it. Not the one they're eating, or how does it go? It's like people of Springfield, please don't eat my cat. Eat something else. like all week, that was stuck in my head. Meow, 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 meow. And then I heard it got taken off wherever it was at Spotify or somewhere where the guy was selling it. And I thought that's sad. That was like the whole thing for like a week, where everyone was singing Trump cat songs.
Yeah, and I've never been a big singer, but I know that jingle there. And I guess I should sing some more. So we did a little sing. So I did a line of singing there. So I sometimes
I
sing
sometimes
just
sing.
I sing just to troll Sasha because I sing really poor.
Yeah, no, I'll sing like a full song on Sunday. I want to sing, like Paul said, we can't do it too because of YouTube will get you in trouble. But I want to sing the REM song. It's the end of the world as we know it because that's kind of a fun song to sing.
Can you sing a bar now? Well, how does the first bar go?
It goes, that's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes and airplanes and Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane. Listen to yourself. Churn world serves its own needs. Tell me through your own needs. It's kind of a hard song to sing, and I still get stuck. I have to like look at the lyrics to sing.
Oh, that's a song that goes real fast and they say a lot of things.
Yeah, it was in the movie Dream a Little Dream. If you guys ever saw that turd with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, I actually kind of like that movie. That's not good, but it's just nice to see like the Corey. That's kind of like the Corey's last like movie that had a budget and like real actors in it. Because I watched Blown Out. Is that what it's called, or Blown Away? That movie that Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, and Nicole Eggert were all in last weekend, and it's an entertaining movie. It's got like a lot of gratuitous sex and violence and stuff in it, but it was like you could tell it was like the downfall of the Coreys. And Corey Haim was still really cute in it, but Michael Jackson, Corey Feldman was doing his Michael Jackson thing, and it's just so cringe. Like he still does that shit, and he's in his 50s.
There were some movies in the 70s, and late last night, because I was doing my game, and I got on a she-wolf, and there was a famous movie. It was Ilsa, the she-wolf of the SS, is about this Nazi lady in a camp that would have sex with men and then torture them and castrate them. And it was like, but it was one of those sexploitation movies. They had like those women in prison movies. My brother used to like those years ago. So those were, I consider those really kind of worse than The Substance when it comes to just weird. They did a lot of weird stuff back then.
No, I like some of those movies too, those prison kind of movies or those like sexploitation things. I used to watch USA Up All Night when I was a kid, and those were on, and it was something I knew I wasn't supposed to be watching, so it was kind of like, ooh. But they never would show anything. They would always edit everything out, but you kind of knew what was going on. They edit the nudity and stuff out, but um, there's a movie called Getting Lucky, and I swear to God, it was called Lucky Day when it was on USA, or yeah, it was on USA Up All Night, like years ago in the like late '80s, early '90s, when I was a kid, and I stayed up and watched it, and I even recorded it off TV. I was such a nerd back then; I recorded everything. But it's this movie, and you can get it now. I think Troma bought it, and it's on DVD, and probably it was on Prime for a while streaming. But it's about this nerd kid, lowest production value ever. Like there's a part where a guy's on a phone back when we had phones that had like where they had to hook into the wall, and the guy's like twirling the cord around his fingers because it's not even plugged in. The thing was so low budget. But it's basically about this nerd kid that finds a leprechaun in a beer bottle, and the effects were just so bad. The whole thing was so cheesy, but it was fun to watch. But he likes this cheerleader girl, and so he wishes that she'll go on a date with him as one of the wishes. And then he wishes for a car, and he wants like a Corvette or something, and the leprechaun gives him like a Pinto, and of course it's a junk car, but he wants a date. And so basically, this jock guy is trying to sleep with this girl, this cheerleader the nerd guy likes. And so she's kind of a bitch, and she sets it up like, oh, I'll go out with him, like so I can go make out with the hot like football guy in his car. And that's what happens. But then she ends up liking the nerd guy because he kind of like, I don't know, he gets her from getting in trouble. But then she starts thinking, well, he does have morals, and he's not a total douchebag like this guy that just keeps trying to get me to sleep with him. And then so the kid wishes like the wrench would shrink because he's fixing her bike because they start dating, and he ends up like in her underwear, and she's like riding a bike, and it's like the cringiest shit ever. And for years you could not find that movie, and I'd lost my tape, and I was thinking like, oh, something happened to it. And me and my friends, when I was living in Rockford in the late '90s, there was a like little mom and pop video store, and they had the movie. And I was so excited. I didn't have a video card, and I asked my friend, I was like, you have to rent this. It's like the funniest thing ever. And so me and her and this other girl, like we smoked a bunch of pot and we watched it, and we laughed through the whole thing. And when it was over, she's like, Sasha, you're never allowed to pick the movie again. And I'm like, you people laughed. You thought it was funny though. But it was one of those kind of, it was better than Porky's. So watch Porky's, and you're like, ugh, Porky's is kind of like, I don't know. It's a bad movie too, but I've seen Getting Lucky a lot more times than I've seen Porky's.
Sometimes those low budget late night films could be kind of funny, even though they're low quality, and they were entertaining. And I guess I kind of like it when you could tell the director, even if they're not that talented, but they do something that kind of has a story that's interesting, even though it kind of sucks technically, versus this real focus group, plastic, all prepackaged bullshit that Hollywood usually puts out, versus paint by numbers. I kind of like it when directors try to do something different. David Lynch was that way, and other directors would do things that not cookie cutter. And that's part of the reason I think some of the people didn't like The Substance, because it was a cookie cutter. Because most Hollywood movies, let's face it, they're pretty much paint by number. You know what's going to happen. There's no surprise.
Yeah, I definitely like directors that aren't just like the cookie cutter. When I think of like my favorite directors, well, when I was a kid, my favorite director was Tim Burton, because you think like he did all
Yep.
like my favorite movies in the 80s, and it was different when it came out. Now it's been done to death because he's been around forever, but back in the 80s with the first movie he directed, movie not short, because he did the original Frankenweenie too, which I've never actually seen. I like the cartoon, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure was his first movie, and I loved it when I was a kid. I loved Pee-wee. I remember the first time I saw it. People remember where they were when like President got shot and things like that. I remember the first time I ever saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But he did that, and then Beetlejuice and Batman and Edward Scissorhands, like all these movies I just loved when I was a kid and still love. He did those, and he was one of my favorites. And then when I got older, I loved Martin Scorsese movies, and then I like Paul Thomas Anderson, and like none of these people did just like cookie cutter movies. And I'm trying to think like new that lady that did The Substance. That movie had a lot of style. I like Sofia Coppola. She's her movies are kind of similar now. Like you can tell her style, but she does have a style, and it's effective. And I think she's a good director, and she's good at making like beautiful movies. Like even The Substance had some beautiful parts in it. It wasn't just all like gore. It was I don't know. It was definitely not just like Twisters was like a Hollywood movie, and it was entertaining and it was fun. You know, kind of like the movie that you get the happy ending. But I do like my low budget trash from the 80s and 90s when they still you could still be like a smaller production and actually get like a movie out. But now I don't know how often that really happens.
Yeah, and Sacha and I, we live apart still. We'll live together in a couple months, but well, sometimes in the evening, usually I do other work. But last week I watched. She didn't want to watch the movie again, but she said it was good, and so I wanted to see it. So I watched Requiem for a Dream. I know it was a movie done years ago, but I never saw it, and that was definitely a movie that wasn't a, a cookie cutter movie. It was most Hollywood movies. They have to have a happy ending. That's kind of rule. That did not have a happy ending. That movie was just pretty depressing. All these people addicted to drugs and how their life spiraled out of control. Uh, what do you think about that? I'm okay with movies that don't have happy endings. Sometimes they're more interesting.
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky, I think, if I'm pronouncing his name right, I think he's the guy that did Requiem. He's the guy that did The Wrestler, and he's a good director too. And he did that whale movie, which I hated, but I like most of his other movies. There's a couple that weren't that great. The Wrestler was a great movie that didn't have a happy ending. Yeah, you're right. In fact, some of my favorite movies are kind of depressing movies that aren't don't have happy endings. You're talking about Sofia Coppola, I like The Virgin Suicides and Marie Antoinette. Boogie Nights is one of my favorite movies. That kind of had a happy ending, I guess, because he went back to working for like Jack and doing porn again. But he got it clean. He got off drugs. But yeah, I don't know, because I like horror movies too, and those don't usually have like happy endings. Maybe you escape from the killer, but usually if it's a like a prequel or trilogy or something, he's going to come back and kill you at some point anyway. Kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street. You'd think, oh, Nancy's going to live, or even like when Scream came out, everybody that I went to school with, we all thought Drew Barrymore's character was going to be like the main character, and then they killed her off like in the first 10 minutes. And if you haven't seen Scream by now, you should have already seen it if I spoiled anything for you.
Yeah, I saw Scream with Sasha for the first time a couple of years ago, and I loved it. It was a parody of horror movies, slasher movies, and I thought it was funny. It was a classic. And yeah, that's there's some interesting movies. People Stanley Kubrick did really great movies, and but usually because movies have become, they just want to make money, so they do it very paint by numbers, and now they just add the woke shit to it. Like, hey, we're just do a popular movie that was popular years ago, but I know, let's make them all black or female, or, I'm like, yeah, that's not really that creative, but so. I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful. The new AI stuff, and even Sasha showed me, we could get to a day with the technology. Normal people could make movies, and you won't even need actors or actresses because the AI is so pretty.
Yeah, another director I liked more growing up, and I think he's not that good anymore. But I used to, and I know people probably get mad at me for saying it. I liked Tarantino movies. I thought Pulp Fiction was really good, and I know he didn't direct this, but I liked True Romance. I think he wrote it, but he didn't direct it. But I think when he started out, his movies were pretty good, and I loved Kill Bill. And it's like, yeah, I know it's unrealistic, but it was still a hell of a lot of fun. Like me and Brandon went to see that movie multiple times in the theater with just about everybody we knew because we both just thought it was like just such a fun movie to watch. But yeah, and I don't know. That's why the substance was so good. I thought because it kind of was like that, like where it was just like entertaining and yeah, and I'm like you, I don't have to have a happy ending. I mean, there's movies. I mean, shit, E.T. is one of my favorite movies, and I don't even think. I mean, it's happy E.T. gets to go home, but it's like sad though for the kid because he like lost his best friend. So you could even interpret that as a movie that didn't really have a happy ending. I mean, I guess it was happy for E.T., but everyone was crying and it was all sad. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I like movies with plots in them, and I told Sasha that that should be obvious. But there's a lot of movies anymore that really don't have a plot, and they bore me. Most of the Marvel movies I don't really care about because there's no plot. Where you know what's going to happen, they just all fight, and that bores me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's my age, but I just get bored with random explosions. I want to see character development and interesting twist and stuff like that. To me, that holds my interest more than, oh, look at that cool explosion, man. I don't, maybe if you're 12 years old, but
Oh, another good director. Speaking of explosions, I like Paul Verhoeven movies too. And if you guys don't know Paul Verhoeven, he's a Dutch director. He did a lot of Dutch movies too, but he did RoboCop and Total Recall, and his movies have a lot of style too, and Flesh and Blood, and I don't know. I really like him. I kind of feel like he's underrated. Um, and they used to always have the polls like Terminator or RoboCop. I've got to go with RoboCop. I think it's a better movie. We watched Terminator a while ago and I like it and it's a fun movie too, but I still think RoboCop's just better.
yeah, they were okay. I mean, I wasn't as enthused as Sasha was with those movies. I was just like, yeah, they were just, I don't know. It's like what I call a popcorn movie. Nothing wrong with that, but something I really don't necessarily want to see again. But usually Sasha and I, about 80% of the time we agree, but every once in a while we have different likes or dislikes or, what we like, the genres of movies.
Yeah, you're wrong about RoboCop. It's not just like a popcorn movie. It's all about corruption and I don't know. You just then it makes fun of the culture too. Like that, everyone always says that I'll buy that for $1, and they got in trouble because they started a big fire. It was filmed in Dallas, and they ended up catching like when they set off some of those explosions. I guess it got way out of hand, and I think they had to pay a fine to the city. And they talked about how hot it was when they were filming, and I don't know. I thought it was really good. It was really violent. A lot of his movies are very violent. Like if you watch the director's cut, like where RoboCop gets all shot up, and you like RoboCop too because it's sad because he kind of remembers his family and everything. I don't know. I like that. That's like me and Brandon always want to watch that when we hang out. It's like we watch RoboCop and we watch The Fly because I think The Fly is an excellent movie too. The one from '86. I've never actually seen the one from the '50s.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, you have anything else, Sasha? Or
Yeah, someone in the chat agrees with me that RoboCop is not just a popcorn movie. You should really watch it again if that's what you took from it because you didn't take the right. Yeah, you got that wrong.
yeah, Sasha and I disagree on some stuff. Like I consider The Shining to be a wonderful movie. Stanley Kubrick, I thought it was better than the book, and the way he looked at it, it was interesting. So I get it. Everyone has different opinions on stuff. It was okay. Wow, Dylan, $100. Thank you. Take Sash on a date night. No complain. Fancy food. Also, sing a song. So for $100, Sasha, we got to sing Dylan a song here. What do you want to sing?
All
Well,
right.
acapella, we don't have.
Oh, well, we have to sing like a duet, right? Like right now we'll sing something. We could sing "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," or you could sing "Grease," you know, the one that I want, or something like that.
All right. Well, dude, don't go breaking your heart, but I'll have to bring up the lyrics because I don't know the lyrics. So let me bring them up. So don't go breaking my heart. Uh, Yeah, we'll have to do it without the music because of YouTube or dicks about that. You know what I mean? They're like, ah, copyright been flagged. I don't get a strike for that. I mean, I have the lyrics up. I don't get a strike for it now. All they do is just say, "Oh, anything your monetization you make on the video is going to go to whoever owns, this song because they usually sell them." I'm like, huh, laughs on you. I only make like $2 on the video, so but it's the principle. So, okay, so we will have to do the mute stuff really well too. We'll try as best we can, Dylan here.
So how do you want to do this? Like you read a paragraph, I read sing, or you sing a paragraph, I sing a paragraph? Because isn't that kind of how it went? Like they took turns, I think.
Yeah, I think they did each a stanza or a line. So we'll have to do our mute button and hang on here. And who started it? But did Elton John start? If or I think he started, right? So he said, "Don't go breaking my heart,
I couldn't if I tried.
honey, if I get restless."
Baby, you're not that my kind. I'm not even looking at the lyrics now.
All right,
Okay.
I think that's the best. I think that's the best we could do for night. So thank you, though, Dylan, for that. So yeah, you can see Sasha can sing a lot better than me. So yeah, fancy
I got this
food.
little guy. He was singing too. Oh, he likes to make noises.
Yeah, I always said that. That's $100 we could get. I can biggie size my McDonald's. I always tell Sasha if I ever become rich, we're gonna biggie size the McDonald's. I'm gonna get that large size.
Yeah, I'll sing some songs for you this weekend. We'll set it up. I'll do it Sunday before I go to see Hal's.
Yeah, that sounds good. So well, that's all I had. Do you want to just kind of wrap up, Sasha?
Yeah, I'm kind of tired. We got to go mow the lawn at my dad's tomorrow too. So we'll probably go lay down and read or whatever.
Yeah, and then I may print out something more in the game here tomorrow too. So then yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you. It's been fun. We had 840 people here right now, so it's a good turnout. And we try to do this every Friday night. So we will it kind of varies when Sasha gets off work, but we love having you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good night.
Talk to you guys later.